Yep. Can you see my slide?
Yes, perfect.
Yes,
Please go
thank
ahead.
you. Thank you. And thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Yuka, and thank you for all. And we are pleased to have a chance to introduce SIM3 and our activities. In this presentation, we will introduce outline of SIM3, use as example in several communities and in Japan. Then, show SIM3 training to get improvement skill of CSIRT. At first, please introduce yourself, Yo.
Okay. Thank you for organizing this symposium. Wait a moment. I'm Yoshiki Sugiura. I work for two CSIRT, IL-CSIRT and NTT-CERT. I'm also a board member of the Nippon CSIRT Association. And on SIM3, I'm a certified trainer and auditor, as well as Komura-san. And thank you for having the opportunity talking on this meeting. Ichi-san, okay.
Thank you. And I'm Seiichi Komura, but please call me Ichi. This slide shows my introduction, but most important message I want you to remember is if you have a chance to come to Japan and they want to enjoy eating in Japan, please call me. I love eating delicious local food and sweets. I can share you recommended food, good sweet in Japan. Well, we progress. What about SIM3? Do you satisfy your team? Can you explain it with evidence? Do your consistency and governance layer also satisfy your team? We have to check the satisfaction of our consistency and governance layer. And if necessary, we have to improve the CSIRT activities, both quality and quantities. So we have to know our situation, evaluating various viewpoints, not only team internally, but also consistency and governance layer, and related CSIRT. SIM3, the official name is Security Incident Management Maturity Model. It was developed by Don Ford, one of authors of CSIRT Handbook, and he is famous as a member of First Hall of Fame. The SIM3 is a model to help assess and improve the maturity of CSIRT management, and it defines levels for measuring implementation of the above parameters. SIM3 largely consists of parameters and levels. There are 44 parameters, divided into 4 quadrants: organization, human, tools, and processes. There are 5 levels, which are assessed by documentation, the approval situation, and status of external feedback. Level 0, not available, understanding, or unaware. Level 1, implicit, considered but not written down. Level 2, explicit, but internal, written down but not formalized in any way. Level 3, explicit, formalized on authority of CSIRT head. Level 4, explicit audit on authority of governance levels above the CSIRT head. We want you to be properly aware not all parameters are required to be level 4. Higher levels are not necessarily better. It is necessary to determine the level that suit individual activities. For example, the operation of tools used by team members may change frequently, and there is no need to obtain the approval of the CSIRT head for every single change, and to have a common understanding among all teams. On the other hand, it is important to adjust the appropriateness of authority of CSIRT with feedback from outside of CSIRT. Some parameters are interrelated with each other. CSIRT is a part of the organization's risk management and can be used to inspect it and improve related systems and operations outside of CSIRT. SIM3 can be used to build trust with partner CSIRTs and also used as a common languages. There are 4 quadrants of SIM3 about organizations. It defines basic definition of team, including the mission and composition of the teams. About human, it defines the code of conduct and number of members required for the teams, the skill that members should have, and the external networking. About tools, it defines the tools and information resources needed for teams' activities. About processes, common part of CSIRT core activities, such as incident handling, team management, definition of activities as a CSIRT. In worldwide, windows of an organization, how to measure and improve them. This slide shows whole organization parameters. Parameters to check CSIRT scope of defense. It's called constituencies, authority, mission, services, policy, etc. This slide shows human parameters such as behavior guidelines, staffing, skill set, training, external linkage, etc. This slide shows tools, parameters related to the various tools, in addition to some information sources used by the CSIRT. This slide shows processes. This is the biggest quadrant. In processes, parameters related to CSIRT activity processes, such as incident handling, escalation, management, and improvement of team. A SIM3 assessment provides a radar chart. This chart allows you to identify the strengths and weakness of your teams. This required level of each parameter depends on the community and accreditations. What do you think about mature CSIRT? The quality of the services provided by CSIRT is stable, and the resources, workload, environment, etc. are available to carry out the necessary response. The CSIRT is able to quickly restore the original level of services in the event of a change of members. The necessary capacity, skilled personnel, and equipment are in place to keep up with changing conditions, also keep up with new attacks and new technologies. Follow changes in law, regulation, organizational policies, and structure, etc. Mature CSIRT does not measure, SIM3 does not measure advanced technical skill or the ability of handle huge volumes. It does not measure ability of develop novel UIs, or it's the same of the software maturity models, CMMI. It does not measure the ability to develop novel UIs or innovative software. The maturity model of software development, CMMI, also measure the ability of develop software with stable qualities. We progress with such examples. The first example is the bottom, TFC-CERT. TFC-CERT is a European CSIRT community. It is a large community with more than 400 members. Recently, there are not only European teams, but also from Africa or Asia teams. TFC-CERT uses SIM3 to certify advanced teams. Only less than 10% of teams have received the certified title from TFC-CERT. The next example is about ENISA. ENISA is an agency of EU. In its ENISA maturity evaluation methodology for CSIRT, organize the target level for each SIM3 parameters to improve the maturity of national CSIRT in EU, and set 3 steps: basic, intermediate, and advanced. Within the initial maturity evaluation methodology for CSIRT, it is a recommendation that it takes 1 year to reach basic, 2 years to reach intermediate, and another 2 years to reach advanced. It is recommended that they become advanced as suggested. To take these steps and become mature CSIRT, ENISA organized how to conduct self-assessment and peer check. The last example is the bottom first, self-checking for joining. Since this January, when you join first, you have to submit the result of self-check using SIM3. However, it is only 11 parameters that are submitted, not all parameters. This slide shows the 11 parameters. Of 11 parameters, the organization's parameters account for more than half, such as whether the shape of CSIRT has been decided and whether it has been accredited by higher management. From the human, selected parameters are the members' behavior code, continuity of operations, and community activities. From the processes quadrant, parameters related to escalation of higher levels and handling of information are selected. Tools format are not included. There is an online assessment tool on the OCF website. You can evaluate CSIRT easily. Please make use of it. And we also translated it into Japanese. Next is Yo's part. Yo's, please.
Okay, thank you, Komura-san, for explanation of SIM3. I'll talk about two case studies using SIM3. First one is a CSIRT of a company that provides security consulting services. The CSIRT responds to incidents in its own organization, but it also supports other companies in building and operating their CSIRT. They use SIM3 parameters to provide support for creating or developing. They don't use all the parameters and they don't use any labels. SIM3 is useful for recognizing the current status, identifying areas of focuses and gaps, and even understanding the necessary functions for CSIRT. Next one is an example of a SIM3 auditor conducting an annual assessment of CSIRT. The CSIRT also used the SIM3 for improving themselves. This is not an audit as it is assessed only by interviewing a representative and manager. All SIM3 items are assessed according to their levels. They will also find a challenge and gaps in each of those items. The person who is the evaluator summarizes them in a report and submits it to the team. I think this is a great way to raise the maturity level of CSIRT. There are some parameters in the organization where it is important to raise the levels, but it's also very useful in finding the challenge and the gaps. And let's look at the comparison of the slide after this for a moment. Thank you. These charts on the chart on the left compares first membership self-assessment levels with only green and light green. We can see that this team has passed the first self-assessment. In first membership shipment, I think that whether the team was good enough for a member of first has been a little unclear. I think it is good that SIM3 makes it clearer for first members. The chart on the right the chart on the right compares the same CSIRT in 2018 and 2022 assessment. Somehow, some of the levels have gone down, but generally the levels has been going up. The items that have gone up, the dark green compared to 2018 and 2022 are the result of that. Of course, some areas that have gone down, yellow, may need to be improved in the futures with findings. This team actually got improvement. You can see it. But don't get me wrong. It is not only important to increase the levels. The gap analysis are most important. They also have found the challenge and gap with this assessment. We have to make sure that the various challenges found in the gaps analysis should be resolved. Okay, it's
CKOs. Yep. Next, we introduce SIM3 trainings. We introduced two trainings about SIM3. One is OCF SIM3 Auditor trainings. The training consists of 3 days course from 9 to 17 with certification test. Consists of all quadrant and levels. This is held in the afternoon of the last days. Some lectures, mainly extras and discussions. This slide shows the pictures from a SIM3 training, SIM3 auditor training in Japan. We had lectures, but we also carry out a lot of exercise and discussions. Yeah, this is Don Stickford and the members, all members are here. And we use a small team discussion and the whole team discussions. As an aside, this is the castle of Japan. It's about 40 years old castles. This slide shows the SIM3 auditor training in Ireland in 2022. There are many members of national CSIRT from Europe and Africans. And we think there was a lot of discussion from the point of national CSIRT. At the training, you and I work as assistant instructors, did some lectures and exercises. So we are certified OCF official SIM3 trainers. In the future, we can hold SIM3 auditor training independently, and if we certify, those can become OCF certified auditors. The next training we introduce is self-assessment trainings. We developed assessment training in Japan. Our training lectures composition of CSIRT required for own organizations, company, university, organization, etc. Grasping the personnel, tools, and other environment required on conduct of CSIRT activities. CSIRT activities and management method. Checking the status of above matters, you can use the team of and deciding how to improve teams. The purpose of auditor training is to certify auditors. It is aimed at those who have sufficient CSIRT experience and have the skill to do. Therefore, the structure of the training is more about exchange and discussing trainers and participants, experience and trainings, rather than lecture on SIM3 content. On the other hand, the assessor training we have developed is aimed at developing people who can use SIM3 to assess the situation of their own team and to improve it. We make it a condition of participation that trainee have some experience in CSIRT activities, but we do not assume knowledge of various CSIRT concepts or team management. The focus point is therefore on lecture on SIM3 and training on how to apply and assess SIM3. This is timetables. We add lecture about SIM3 forms and components of activities, and spend much time to assessment exercise. This is a slide of the lecture content. Apart from SIM3, we also gave lectures on the core activity of CSIRT and the team management, and as well as the first CSIRT services framework. This relationship between CSIRT services framework and SIM3. For the quadrant, we also presented an important aspect of each parameters, the trend of not defining them, and example of actual descriptions. The future plan about us. Hold auditor training in Japan, targeted February 2023, and improve and develop assessment training, not only on-site, but also online teaching materials, and translating it into English and implementation abroad. We think effective evaluation by SIM3. Simply says check by SIM3, getting some analytical ways to improve teams' maturity issues, not maturity issues. Being aware of comprehensive condition, CSIRT, not only CSIRT, but also enterprise viewpoint. We plan to make materials and examples for supporting self-check and raising the level of CSIRT. At last, there is a famous Chinese strategist word. If you know your enemies and know yourself, you will not be worried in 100 battles. CSIRT networks share enemies information from the beginning. We want to share how to know ourselves, who become not be worried. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Komura-san and Sugiura-san, for the presentation. I know you had very exciting journey on the SIM3 expansion in Japan. So thank you very much for your effort and also sharing that knowledge and insights with us here. It's an interesting presentation. Is there any question from the audience for Komura-san and Sugiura-san on this topic? If you have any questions, please feel free to type in chat box. Yeah, there was one comment from Ito-san in the chat box that we can visualize how organizational people and process events during the time period have affected the CSIRTs by comparing maturity levels on a regular basis. So yeah, I think it's a really good and important tool for CSIRT to actually evaluate itself. Well then, I guess it's about the time. So again, thank you very much, Komura-san and Sugiura-san, for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
very
you
so
much.
much